next, the Pareto analysis, Pareto chart. So Pareto charts are pretty cool. I think they're pretty effective. And it's really a good way to just put information up there on the screen on a piece of paper for people to see, this 80-20 rule. And what is the 80-20 rule? Basically, it's just stating that 80% of the results are caused by 20% of the cause. Now, 80-20 is the general number that, we give, but your analysis, it's not always going to be 80-20. Right? It might be 70-30, 60-40, hopefully not, but you definitely want it to be, 70-30, 80-20 range. What we're doing with these, well, let me explain, okay, just in case we don't know. We are going to essentially, record several issues, right? And it might not just be issues, but we're just going to say issues. And then you're going to look at the frequency of those issues. How many times this particular issue happened? And once you figure that out, you have a chart that then lists the most from left to right. So as you go from the left, you have the most. Again, as you go to the right, get smaller and smaller and smaller to the, and then that's it. Eventually, when you get all the way to the right, it means that you've reached 100% of the issues. All right. So if we're looking at the first 1, 2, 3 of those bars, that's going to tell us where we could focus our attention, our time, and efforts to significantly reduce a lot of the issues that we're seeing. So when do we want to use these Pareto charts? Analyzing data about the frequency of problems or causes in a process. Maybe there's problems or causes, and there's a need to focus on the most significant, which obviously the chart's going to highlight. We might be looking at broad causes, and we want to look at then the specific components of those broad causes. And then again, we want to communicate with others about the data. So I've definitely used Pareto charts, and I think that to those that might not, that aren't familiar with them, initially they're like, whoa, what does this mean? But then once you're able to explain it, then it gets people on the same page, and you can do some good stuff with that. So we have an example here. We have second quarter 2005 types of customer complaints. So we've categorized these types to document complaints, product quality complaints, packaging, delivery, and then there's some that we just don't really have a clue. We can't really pinpoint. It's just other, right? We don't have a specific category for it. So I could look at this initially and say, hey, if we just solve these documents and product quality issues, we'd have nothing. We'd have a small amount of remaining complaints that we could actually deal with, or work on those in the future. But then if I look at it individually, I could say, hey, documents, that's where I could hit the hardest. I know I have product quality, that's next, but documents, there's so many. So what I want to do is I want to focus on documents. Now within my documents, then I'm going and I'm breaking them down to see what is it. So we get to the right part here. It's the types of document complaints. We have quality certificate errors, quality certificate is missing, it's invoice error, packing list, wrong quantity, and then other. So we could see that, as we are going this way, we are reaching 100% of our document complaints or issues. So I could basically solve, quality certificate error and quality certificate missing and cover, what's this here, 70% of my issues basically from these two. So that's what we use the Pareto chart for. We highlight where we could focus our efforts, really figure out what's happening. And even here, right, once we've identified that we have these certificate errors and that it's missing, you got to figure out why, right? So it doesn't stop there. Now you got to figure out, okay, so why are we having these certificate errors? Is it because we have, newbies on this that are typing and they don't know what to type on this stuff? Do we have old? Do we have veterans, as in seasoned individuals that have, been working there for so long that they're just, complacent and they just don't really care and just kind of going through the motion? For quality certificate missing, do we have the right training? Do they know that they're actually supposed to place the certificate in this document or in this, package or whatever it is? those are things that we want to do. We want to focus on the whys to help reduce or eliminate um, the issues.